Good evening and welcome to CYC News for the 14th of January 2018 and the 6th of October 17:34 AM. I'm Yasin Twadros, and in today's headlines, Netanyahu's son discusses gas deals, prostitutes in strip club recording, Iran accuses US of meddling through social media, Israel stops groups promoting boycott from entering country, police stand guard outside Florida University class on racism, and deadly Storm Eleanor weakens havoc in Western Europe. More cases in deadly US E. coli outbreak, Canada outbreak over. Serena Williams withdraws from the Australian Open. But first to Israel, where the country's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been forced to defend his elder son Yair and his own reputation after a 2015 secret recording from outside a strip club featuring a conversation between Yair and two friends aired on Israel Channel 2 last Monday night. The wide-ranging conversation between the three men touched on subjects ranging from recent government business to prostitutes. In the tape, Yair Netanyahu, now 26, can be heard demanding money from Ori Maimon, the son of Kobe Maimon, on Israeli gas take-on. Yair is heard yelling, "Ori, my father did a good deal for you, brother. You have to be good to me." Laughter can be then heard on the recording. Yair then continues saying, "We fought in the Kennest for it, brother. My father battled for it. I remember." The gas deal reference in the conversation centered on a proposal by the Israeli Finance Ministry for the dividing of the future income between state and private companies. The recording took place at the same time the Prime Minister was embroiled in controversy surrounding legislation regarding a newly discovered natural gas deposit in the Mediterranean Sea. Its broadcast comes as he is under investigation into two criminal probes which involve allegations of bribery, fraud and breach of trust. In a statement, the Netanyahu family criticized the decision to broadcast the recording, denied Yair had any involvement in the gas protocols, and emphasized that he was only joking. It also denies any wrongdoing on behalf of the Prime Minister regarding the gas deal. A Netanyahu family spokesman said in a statement, "Every parent that watched the report should think how they would react if every false expression of their kids was turned into a headline on Channel 2. And every time they left the house, it was turned into an investigation, and every conversation was turned into a hidden recording." Yair Netanyahu has since apologized for the remarks. To Iran now, where in a letter to the United Nations dated January the 4th, the Islamic Republic has accused the United States of taping social media to incite protesters to change their government, thus tampering in the Islamic Republic's affairs. Tehran accused US President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence on inciting Iranians against the government through a series of tweets and described US interference in Iranians' issues as grotesque. It also pointed to a US State Department official's statement that the United States was communicating with anti-government protesters through its Facebook and Twitter pages in Farsi and was encouraging them to demonstrate. The letter sent reads, "The Presidents and Vice President of the United States, in their numerous absurd tweets, incite Iranians to engage in disruptive acts." The US Department of State went so far as admitting that the US government wants to encourage protesters in Iran to change their government, admitting the US is engaging in interfering with the internal affairs of Iran through Facebook and Twitter. Returning to Israel, and the members of 20 organizations, including one Jewish organization, which advocate boycotting Israel, will be banned from entering the country. The full list comes from the Minister of Strategic Affairs and a governmental department created to fight the boycott, divestment and sanctions movements, known as BDS. Minister Gilad Erdan said the anti-Israeli boycott campaign seeks not to promote peace, but to undermine Israel's national security and existence. The State of Israel will prevent groups working to undermine its security and core interests from entering Israel. The list stems from a March 2017 law allowing Israel to deny entry to a non-resident who promotes a boycott of Israel. The final list was put together in collaboration with the Inferior Foreign Affairs and Justice Ministers, and the new regulations are expected to take effect in March this year. 1 year after Israel enacted the law enabling the ban, critics of this legislation zeroed in on the ban of Jewish Voice for Peace, and left-wing Jewish organisation that advocates the boycott as a non-violent means of ending Israel's occupation of the Palestinian territories, while seeking security and self-determination for Israelis and Palestinians, and a solution for Palestinian refugees. In a press release publicising the list, the Ministry of Strategic Affairs insisted the ban did not target any specific race or religion, instead targeting central figures in key boycott organisations, while allowing for humanitarian expectations. The minister said those who have voiced political criticism of Israel would be allowed to enter. Only those who have taken material action against Israel will be banned. That action is defined as significant, ongoing, and consistent to harm Israel through advocating boycotts. A Florida university posted campus police outside a sociology class titled White Racism after the professor was flooded with harassing emails and messages, some of them openly racist. Ted Thornhill, assistant professor of sociology at Florida Gulf Coast University, said in a phone call with CNN, "All that it takes is that one person to act on their views. We've got to be cautious because we don't know what people are capable of." Last Tuesday was the first day of class and there was no incidents reported, but Thornhill course has been created headlines and controversy since it's announced last fall. A course description says the class will interrogate the concept of race, examine the racist ideologies, law policies and practices that have operated for hundreds of years to maintain white racial domination over those racialized as non-white. It also aims to discuss ways to challenge white racism and white supremacy towards promoting an anti-racist society where whiteness is not tied to greater life chances. The class filled quickly to the maximum of 50 students. One Brian Olivia Infante said he felt uncomfortable attending the class because of the controversy. On his way to class, he said he noticed extra university police officers nearby. "Although I was a bit nervous, sitting through the class felt like a sigh of relief," said Olivia Infante, president of FGCU College Democrats and FGCU for Dreamers. "For the first time ever at FGCU, I was in an academic setting where the majority of people were students of colour," he said. "It was beautiful to see that many of the classmates that had cultural backgrounds similar to mine. One thing we all have in common was that our communities all suffer from white racism." 3 people have died and 10,000 have been left without power as Storm Eleanor sweeps across Eastern Europe. A 21-year-old was killed in France after high winds caused a tree to fall on him while he was skiing on January the 3rd in the Morelian area and the southeast of the country. In Spain's Basque Country, police said 2 people died in the coastal town of Matruku after they were swept out to sea by a large wave. A third person attempted to rescue the 74-year-old man and 76-year-old woman, but couldn't do nothing to help them. According to the energy company EDF, at least 29,000 homes were without electricity in France as of January the 4th. Rain and high winds brought by Eleanor lashed parts of Ireland and United Kingdom on January 2nd and 3rd, causing flooding in some areas, downing trees and temporary cutting powers to tens of thousands of homes. According to the UK Met Office, gusts of 160 kilometres per hour were recorded in the Pennines, a range of mountains and hills in the northern England. The stormy weather in Europe came as icy blizzard pummeled the northern eastern United States and eastern Canada, with more than 2,700 US flights cancelled. Before the storm pushed north, southeastern US cities that rarely see snow turned into winter wonderland, with snow weighing down palm fronds and freezing water in fountains. To health news now, and federal health officials in the United States reported 7 additional cases of E. coli illness last Wednesday, in a deadly outbreak that has now struck 15 states, including California and New York. The US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said the total number of those infected has climbed to 24. 9 of those people have been hospitalized, 2 of whom have suffered from a form of kidney failure. All the sick individuals began feeling ill between November 15 and December 12. At about the same time, an outbreak of E. coli in Canada is believed to have occurred, although health officials have since declared it over. The cases in the United States are the same strains as the cases in Canada, and some of them have the same genetic fingerprint. Last week, the CDC said it was eyeing leafy greens as the possible culprits, and this week seemed to be still looking for the source as the outbreak investigation continues. The CDC said last Wednesday the likely source of the outbreak of the United States appears to be leafy greens, but officials have not specifically identified a type of leafy greens eaten by people who became ill. Officials have since indicated that the outbreak in the United States may also be over soon. And in sport, Serena Williams won't be defending the Australian Open title after the American withdrew from the first Grand Slam of 2018 season, saying she needs more time after giving birth last year. The 23-time Grand Slam winner returns to the court at the Mumbai World Tennis Championship in Abu Dhabi last weekend, less than 4 months after becoming a mum. But playing that tournament has given the American pause for thought. The 36-year-old said, "After competing in Abu Dhabi, I realized that although I am super close, I'm not where I personally want to be. My coach and team always said, only go to tournaments when you are prepared to go all the way. I can compete, but I don't want to just compete. I want to do far better than just than that, and do so, and I will need a little more time." And that's all for CYC News. A reminder that you can watch the news bulletin again throughout the week on YouTube. I'm Justine Tuadros from the CYC studios in Sydney, Australia. Have a good night.